Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf, and welcome to my podcast, Cleaning Up the Mental Mess. This is part 6 of a series that I'm doing of basic concepts that I teach. So go listen to the other 5 parts before you listen to this one, or listen to this one and go listen to the other 5 and then re-listen to this one. So I've been speaking about the different divisions of mind and give examples of that and what thoughts and memories are and what the mind is. And today I'm going to be speaking about intrusive thoughts being your best friend. And I hope that got your attention, because most people think, intrusive thoughts are like bad, and that people battle with intrusive thoughts. And according to the research, and research changes all the time, but about 95% of people battle with intrusive thoughts. But I want you to look at this thing differently. Intrusive thoughts, when we say that word, we think of things that are overwhelming us, thoughts that are making us feel terrible, things that we just don't want to think about, things that are maybe blocking our ability to function like we should, or interrupting our creativity, relationships, just making us feel depressed or whatever. That may very well be the case. And that is what will happen when you look at intrusive thoughts differently. So here's another way of looking at intrusive thoughts that I have tested and researched, and I can tell you works like a bomb. And that is to see an intrusive thought as your new best friend. Intrusive thoughts are not bad. Intrusive thoughts may contain information that is upsetting, disturbing, even make you feel like you're completely overwhelmed and burnt out. But that's if you allow the intrusive thought to consume you. If, however, you shift your perspective and you see an intrusive thought as your best friend because it contains information that will help you understand yourself better, give yourself better mental self-care, and help you have more peace in your life, help you become more creative, and increase your intelligence, well then, suddenly, an intrusive thought doesn't sound like such a bad thing after all. An intrusive thought is a window, literally, into your unconscious mind. It is a window into finding those areas in your life that are problematic and toxic. It is a window into finding areas of your life that are just small little things that need addressing now before they become big things. Intrusive thoughts are a window to find those patterns of big things that are already disrupting your life. Those intrusive thoughts are also ways of you finding things that make you feel good, that you can then enhance to unmask your resilience and increase your sense of peace. An intrusive thought is a thought filled with memories that pops up a lot while you're trying to do other stuff, and can lead to rumination, which means kind of going around the hamster wheel where you're not actually moving forward, you're kind of stuck. And if not managed, you can get into that rumination cycle, which can lead to things like destructive versus constructive worry. And these are all things that I cover in depth in my book and also in my app, Neurocycle, and which is constantly being updated according to my research and new things added and so on. And I do have a whole lesson on constructive and destructive worry and so on. So an intrusive thought, when unmanaged, can take you down those rabbit holes of rumination and destructive worry and so on. But when managed, can change how you see your life. So if you see, when I talk about managing an intrusive thought, I'm talking about seeing that intrusive thought as a containing information that is going to help you to change. The minute that you're aware of something, you can change it. If you know how to go beyond mindfulness, which is being aware, which is the neurocycle. But by ignoring that intrusive thought, it becomes the white bear effect. What you don't want to think about, you will keep thinking about. So either the intrusive thought keeps you in that constant cycle, or you say, okay, let me analyze this intrusive thought. Let me see what it's telling me. And you take it through a process. You then will find what it's trying to tell you. You'll dig deep into the unconscious mind, and you'll be able to reconstruct and deconstruct. So an intrusive thought, when people often ask me when they start working on their mind, or they start using the neurocycle, and when I was still practicing, my patients would say, where do I begin? There's just so much in my head. I would say, okay, well, let's begin with your intrusive thoughts. And here's a little exercise that you can do to experience this. and to get you going with how to get you going and help you to start managing your mind. Okay, so what you can do now is close your eyes. So and just listen to my voice. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you just to follow the instructions of my voice. Okay, so we're going to do that now, just for a few seconds. Okay, as your eyes are closed, I want you, when I'm quiet, I'm going to be quiet for about 10 seconds. I want you just to see what is popping into your mind in those 10 seconds. So I'm going to do that now. So you're going to close your eyes. I'm actually going to count to 10 slowly and very quietly. And in that time, you're going to focus on what is coming up in your mind. Okay? We're going to do that now. Beginning now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, open your eyes. So, this is just a little mini snippet of what you're going to do. I'm going to give you the rest of the exercise towards the end of this little session. So what happened there was certain thoughts would have come up into your mind, as I said. And then you may say, well, they're not necessarily intrusive. They're kind of what was at the tip of my mind at that moment, tip of my consciousness. That's fine. Okay, so now, what were those thoughts? So answer yourself, what were those thoughts? So for example, with me, I was thinking about two of my 4 children that work at all 4 of my children work for me in different ways, 3 full-time, and my son co-authors storybooks with me. So I was thinking 2 of my 4 children live overseas and they're in town at the moment. So I was immediately finding myself going to the fact that my children are going back overseas soon. And I've got so enjoyed having them at home with me. So I felt a little bit anxious and sad that they're going off soon. So that popped up in my mind. And then I've got a meeting at 5 o'clock. That popped up in my mind. And there were a few other little things that were, what popped up in my mind is that my husband asked me a question this morning and I didn't answer very nicely because I was in a rush and kind of snapped at him. And I popped up in my mind. I thought I need to actually address that because that's actually a pattern. I've responded in that way a few times. And so I need to deal with that. So, okay, so those 3 things popped up in my mind. And there was a couple of other things, but the one was just a level of worry and anxiety. So I gave myself permission to feel that feeling and to say, okay, well, this is normal response. I don't want them to go and whatever. So I acknowledged it and didn't, it's quite normal to be upset about that or sad, whatever. The one that I decided that needed attention was the fact that I'd actually kind of reacted a bit negatively to my husband about something he had asked. And this was something that he's asked before. So it's a pattern. There's something that he asked in a certain way, and then I react in a certain way. And I don't want to do that because why react negatively when you don't have to? Rather sort out the issue. So the decision I make from that intrusive thought is actually I need to go and do a 63-day cycle to find out why did I respond to my husband in that way, in that moment. And then that reminded me as I was doing that and as I'm talking it through now with you, that that's not just him that I respond to in that way. So therefore, it's not so much him, it's the content of what was said. And so as I'm talking to you, I'm working this out, okay? Because I'm gathering awareness. I'm actually going through the neurocycle in my mind at the moment while I'm talking it through. I'm gathering awareness, I'm reflecting, I'm visualizing that, and I'm actually rechecking. And my little active reach will actually be to go and do a full 63-day neurocycle because I now realize that intrusive thought has shown me something interesting, that there's a certain situation that I am responding to my husband, to my kids who work for me, to people that bring that up. There's a thing there that I react in that way every single time. So I have an unresolved issue that I now can look at my warning signals and realize even just talking about this, that I felt these kind of emotions, I felt this knot in my stomach, and I'm associating, in other words, that intrusive thought with the signals, the emotions. And there was a whole session I did on warning signals. There's a whole chapter in this book on warning signals. In the app, I talk about warning signals. But what I've done now from that intrusive thought, I've unpacked the various warning signals. So I've got myself ready and I shall start. I'm just finishing off another neurocycle at the moment, but I'm going to make a note at the end of this podcast to actually work on that. Okay, so I did a little bit of mind management with myself and outlined that for you. So that's what I'd like you to try. So an intrusive thought, I thought was one thing, had one worry thing, one neutral thing, and then one thing that I thought was related to my relationship with, but me snapping at my husband unnecessarily. But then I realized it wasn't that, it was the issue no matter who says that, I react in a way. So there's an underlying issue. And it is quite disruptive because it comes up fairly often and I need to deal with it. So I got evidence. The intrusive thought gave me a direction of mind management that I need, because I don't want anything toxic and problematic inside of me, big or small. I want to work on them as they arise because I know new ones are coming, and I want my creativity and intelligence to continue to increase. And I want my mental health to be good, and I want to have peace and be able to embrace and manage life. So that's an example for you of how you can use an intrusive thought. So intrusive thoughts are your best friend. They will help you and give you so much peace and increase the health of your mind-brain-body connection when you pay attention to them. So now from this exercise, this little brief exercise and discussion, what you can do is go and give yourself 10 minutes. Preferably, take more. If you can, go to 16. So 10 to 16 minutes. Take your time out on your phone or however, and have a notebook with you. And close your eyes and just let your mind wander. Go into a thinker moment. I've spoken about these before as well. Just let your mind wander. Close your eyes, and for 2 minutes, I want you to try and do a full 2 minutes. And in that time, there's lots of things that are going to go through your head. Open up, and those things that pop into your mind first, write them down. Then go back and do it for another 2 minutes. Whatever pops up, after 2 minutes, write it down. And do this for either 5 times if it's 10 minutes or 8 times if it's 16 minutes. At the end of that, look at everything you've written down and see if there's a consistent pattern. Okay, and then maybe highlight the ones that are similar and prioritize, put them in an order. So create a final list from the top to the bottom. So maybe highlight in different colors, etc. Work it out. Then repeat the exercise for 7 days in a row. You will be astounded at the insight that you get into things that you need to work on. And then prioritize that list at the end of 7 days. Get it down to your top 10 thoughts. If there's 20, that's okay. If there's 3, that's okay. Choose the one that's the most disruptive, and that's what you start doing a neurocycle on. For those of you that don't know what a neurocycle is, cleaning up your mental mess, I explain exactly in my app, Neurocycle, which you can download on iTunes, Google Play, or go to neurocycle.com. I walk you through literally giving you therapy, how to now deconstruct and reconstruct a thought. So try that out. Send me a message. You will be utterly amazed at how that develops your self-regulation and helps you work on stuff and helps you manage your mind. I hope you've enjoyed that, and don't forget to join me next week for part 7.